Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Ask Jeffrey Live. I am coming to you actually from Amarillo, Texas. We have been on the road this week down to El Paso, and then we were supposed to go to Houston. And I thought I'd never say this, but we had to cancel events in Houston because of snow. So the event in Houston was canceled, so we spent an extra day in El Paso, and we worked the downtown area, and that was very exciting. We got to meet a lot of people. Then we went up and we have ended up in Amarillo. We were also in Odessa. We have had such a great response, and I want to thank everyone in Odessa as well as here in Amarillo for coming out, meeting with us and asking your questions and learning more about our campaign and the direction we want to go in. And today, even though I'm still in Amarillo, when I'm done here, I will actually be packing up and we're heading to Lubbock. So I'm looking forward to attending the event in Lubbock this evening. So welcome. Now I know this weekend, are the women's marches. And if you log on to jeffreyfortexas.com, you will actually see two things. One, a comprehensive list of marches that are happening around Texas. So if you're wondering where they're going to be, you can log on to our website and find out. The other thing that I found quite interesting is when I logged on to our website, I believe it was Wednesday, the front page of our website went totally pink as we stand in solidarity with all the women of Texas and the nation. And I thought that was a very, very nice touch. And I would like to give a shout out to our creative director, Justin, for doing that. Unfortunately, I will not be able to join any of the marches due to the campaign schedule. I'll actually be in Canton at that time, and I'm attending a forum on education. So I do apologize that I won't be able to join any of you in the marches, but just know that I will be there in spirit, and I stand for all of you. Also as well, on Sunday at noon, we are actually doing a special edition of Ask Jeffrey Live where we will be discussing women's rights. So I look forward to that. And again, that's 12 noon Central Standard Time right here on Facebook Live. So with all of that said, welcome everyone that has joined in. I'm looking and wow, I'm thrilled to have all of you. So I wanted to get to some questions that we had from last week, and I think even the week before. It has gotten to the point now where questions are coming in faster than we can answer in an hour, which I am thrilled about. And so, pardon me, I do want to let you know that we will try to get to everyone's questions, but because of time, we may end up coming up with some type of alternative method in which to get everyone answered on our website. Rather than being able to answer all of them live, because we have so many that are coming in. But I am glad to see all of you engaged and concerned about the direction Texas has been going in and the direction that you want to see. Kevin, I'm sorry, I just saw Kevin's name pop up. Sorry about that. The direction that you want to see Texas go in the future. So, all righty, here we go. Let's see. Thomas had actually sent in a question last week. Let's see. Can you speak about hydraulic fracking, also known as fracturing, also known as fracking, as it relates to oil and natural gas extraction? I feel that it's polluting our groundwater and causes these earthquakes in the DFW area, which has never been where we've never had earthquakes before. Thomas, thank you for your question. This was asked of my opponents earlier, and I believe that the fracking it's not good for our environment. One, it's contaminating our drinking water. Our drinking water is less and less, and we need to start protecting our drinking water. Also, at the same time, it is causing earthquakes. And I know that because I have one of my businesses where it seems like I get a new crack in the floor every time we have an earthquake. And I know that other businesses and other homes have actually been damaged as well by these earthquakes. And although I understand that it is a new process and that the oil and gas industry is supportive of it and wants to continue doing it, I am someone that will advocate that we stop, because it is causing more harm than good. So, Thomas, thank you for your question, and understand that I do not support fracking. So thank you. Let's see. Sheena asks as well, the tech industry is coming to Austin. Companies from California are moving to Austin. We're seeing that in the 400,000 people who have moved to Texas in just this year alone. What's your stance on cryptocurrency and the increase in business centered around this progressive technology? For those of you who don't know, cryptocurrency is a digital asset. It's designed to work as a medium of exchange that uses cryptography to secure its transactions. So, sorry, I had to adjust myself in my seat. In all honesty, there are some concerns I have about it, and we actually need to start looking at it more because, and I'm sorry, I had my notes right here on it that I wanted to make sure that I got to. There are benefits to it. Bitcoin is one that's out there that's being used right now. I know they just had a drop in their value. Many experts are using this blockchain. It's designed, it has important uses in our technologies, such as online voting, crowdfunding, etc. But there are some drawbacks to it that I'm a little concerned about before I throw my support behind it. Cryptocurrency is virtual, and there's no central repository. So a digital cryptocurrency balance could actually be wiped out by a computer crash or something of that nature if there's no backup of the holdings. So we have to look at first, how do we back it up? How do we secure it? And that is one of the main questions I have about it. And since the prices are based on supply and demand, the rate at which cryptocurrency can be exchanged for another currency can fluctuate widely, as we've seen like with Bitcoin, for example. And so, cryptocurrency is not immune to the threat of hacking. So until we know more about how we can actually regulate that and how we can actually move forward with that in a secure manner, I'm not one to actually throw my support behind it until we actually do more work and more studies and find out more about how we can make sure it's secure. So I do want to thank you for that, Sheena, for asking that. Mark had asked last week as well, what can we do to help the mentally challenged people that have a 70% higher chance of being sexually abused than non-mentally challenged individuals? First of all, we need to find mental health. We need to ensure that those individuals who have mental health issues, that they are secure, that they are in an environment that is protective of them. And by doing that, then we can at least get a handle on the high number of individuals who are being sexually abused. So the first step in all of this is to make sure that we actually fund mental health. And when I say fund it, I don't mean just giving them access to the resources they need, but also make sure that they're protected. So Mark, thank you very much for that question as well. And I apologize, y'all, I'm trying to get down to my next question. I want to give a shout out to FJ Jones. I'm sorry, here we go. I want to say hello and thank you, Steve. It was great meeting you last night as well. So thank y'all very much for joining in. Let's see. And let's see. Kristen, and this is the last question I'm going to take because we have some coming in live. So I want to go to the live questions as well. But Kristen actually wrote, I'm one that's been burdened by student loans, and my biggest one isn't even mine. I wouldn't go into my story on it because I think student loans are a whole other beast that should be tackled. Every time I think of student loans, I think of loan sharks and what feels like corruption in higher education. Let's see. I will say that I now work in a high-tech company, and one day went to a team lunch where my boss and his directs. Okay, we had 12 people sitting around the table talking. I was the only person at that table that was U.S. born. I was also the only person that didn't have my education paid for and was still paying student loans. It was a little eye-opening. I love my coworkers, I love the diversity at my company, and I respect the need to hire people trained for high-tech jobs, even if we need to go to other countries. But I asked myself why the U.S. isn't more interested in training their own to take these positions. I agree with that and what we need to do. Kristen, and thank you for that question. It's a very important question that we need to address on a few levels. Because what I'm reading in here is there's the student loan issue, and then there's the how come we're not preparing our citizens of Texas for these high-tech jobs. One, we need to actually, with our educational system, as I've been saying all along, we need to actually promote math and science more than what we've been doing, so that individuals, our children, are more interested in it and more likely to go into those type of jobs. And and as far as the student loans, we need to get those under control. I believe that there's a system that we can use. It's under my policies on my website, jeffreyfortexas.com, on higher education. And I would refer you to there. But in a nutshell, what it is it's an income-based sharing program to where your college is paid for, but it depends on what you make once you get out of college. And you pay back with a 10-year limit. And excuse me, and it's based on your income, not on a set rate where you're actually, some of these individuals are actually paying student loans for 20 to 25 years, and we need to stop that. But I encourage you to look at jeffreyfortexas.com and look at our higher education. I do want to apologize to everyone about my voice. I sound a little deeper than I normally do. We were in Austin last week, and the cedar was incredibly high. And as we've traveled to El Paso and so on, and all over the state over the last 2 weeks, just in the last 2 weeks, my allergies have been, kicking my butt. So I do apologize. My voice is a little deeper, and I hope that everyone is able to understand me. So, but thank you very much for that. Steve asked, does the governor have any sway or influence over our state senators? In Texas, the lieutenant governor is actually more powerful, if you want to call it that, than the governor. The governor has the ability to veto bills, line item veto. He has the ability to set the agenda and set the tone for the legislature. And he has sway in how he builds relationships with the state senators. And that's what we need in government. Someone that's actually going to advocate for the items that help all Texans, and not just advocate for the items that benefits himself or those who contributed to his campaign. And so, or for the 1%ers out there, you need a governor such as myself, who is going to advocate for all Texans and to ensure that it is fair across the board, and that taxes and property tax and such like that is not just placed on the individuals and small business, where large corporations get big breaks. So the governor cannot pass laws. The governor has the bully pulpit. I would like to mention that, to where we can go out and we can actually inform the populace, the citizens of Texas, on exactly what's going on in the legislature, so that you're informed. And what we need is a governor who will do press conferences, regular press conferences, and a governor who is not afraid to have true town hall meetings and go out there and meet the public, good, bad, or ugly. That the governor is there and listening to individuals, finding out what their needs are. Because my first year in office is going to be very different than my 8th year in office. So we have to continually go out there, and not just during the campaign season. But go out there and speak with individuals across the board, and so that we know that I know exactly what you're needing, what has changed, what have your needs changed. And if we don't do that, if your governor doesn't do that, then your governor isn't informed as he should be. So, Steve, thank you very much for your question. I appreciate that. And Andrew, thank you for coming in, and I'm glad you were able to catch us. And let's see, you asked, are you familiar with the margin and franchise tax? What's your position on the issue? What would your policy be? As a small business owner, I am very familiar with the margin and franchise taxes. I believe that we need to do away with them. The tax that you're speaking about is based on in this situation, when I say it's based on a small business gross, not net. And what we need to do is start taxing companies on their net when it comes to small business. Just because I gross, let's say, and I'm just throwing out a figure, if I gross $1 million, doesn't mean I made $1 million. I could have made, at the end of the day, $10,000 as far as net. So what we need to do is start taxing the net amount that a company makes, not the gross amount. I believe that it's an unfair tax, especially on small businesses, because they're being taxed at a rate that is higher and actually may put them in the hole by the time they actually pay that tax. So we need to look at net earnings and stop looking at gross earnings. So Andrew, thank you very much for that question. And but yes, I'm very familiar with those taxes. So thank you, Andrew. Let's see. Pat, hello, Mr. Payne. I've been listening to you quite a bit, and you have my vote. Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. What I want to know is how we can win the primary. I'm a voter registrar in Tarrant County and a new precinct chair. Well, before I say anything, Pat, thank you for stepping up as the precinct chair. I know that all precinct chairs across Texas are working very, very hard this election season. And I know it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. And I truly appreciate everything that you're doing. What we can do is once, pardon me, is door knocking. That's going to be the main thing. And reaching out, and we want to reach out to you and have you reach out to us so that when we are door knocking, that we can divide neighborhoods between our volunteers and the individuals who are volunteering for you and for all the other precinct chairs, so that we're not constantly banging on the same doors, that we can divide and conquer. And that's what we have to do, because we have to hit as many individuals as we can this election season and engage people and let them know the importance of voting this election season. Because it's an off year, we usually don't. We usually hit maybe 27 to 29% of eligible registered voters that actually get out and vote and choose our state officials. What we need to do is that number needs to be double that. We need to get as close to 100% as we can. And it's individuals like yourself, Pat, that are going to be able to assist us in getting those high numbers that we need. And so what we encourage is working with our campaign, working with the local candidates as well, on how you can assist them, and especially after the primary, because we know that right now chairs or county can't support a particular, if it's a contested race. They have to be very unbiased, and we understand that. So after the primary, what we need to do is actually, our team will be reaching out, our volunteer director, Christopher, will actually be reaching out to all the precinct chairs and all the county chairs as well on how we can divide and conquer down to the neighborhoods, so that we're all working in tandem and we're all working at the same time for all of the candidates in the area, not just for governor, and not just for statewide offices, but also for your local offices, all the way down to justice of the peace. So, Pat, thank you again for stepping up. It is, as we have traveled, I will say there is an excitement in the air. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really don't think a blue wave is going to hit Texas. I believe it's going to be a blue tsunami. And it's going to hit Texas like it hasn't in a quarter of a century. So, Pat, again, thank you for your hard work. And, we look forward to working with you, and especially after the primary, where you can actually come out and be supportive of certain candidates. So thank you again. Drew, I definitely will be voting for you, sir. Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. I'm not sure where you're from, Drew, but thank you very much for that. So, yes. Oh, Pat. Okay, yeah. I see where you're saying you can't take sides in the primary since you are a precinct chair. No, I do understand that, and I hope that came across when I was giving my explanation. But what you can do, as far as being able to, register voters, is to really get out there. Our team is also working to get more people registered, and it's just door knocking, holding special events. Anytime we have an event, we have our cards with us, and encouraging people to vote as well. So, so again, thank you, Pat. Debbie asks, were you contacted by the AFL-CIO about their upcoming gubernatorial forum and debate? Only having Valdez and White seems so biased, in my opinion. No, we were not contacted by the AFL-CIO. I'm not sure why, but we weren't. And I know that they're their own organization. They can invite whomever they wish to invite. And here's my response to the organization. I support the AFL-CIO. I've always supported unions. And not being invited is your decision, and I respect that. However, at the same time, we will continue to do what we are doing, which is getting out there and meeting with Texans across this great state and one-on-one, face-to-face. And that's what the people of Texas deserve. I would have liked to have been invited, yes. However, we were not, and neither were the other 7 candidates besides myself. So it was their choice. They're their own organization, and I respect that. And at the same time, we're still going to do what we're doing. And I'm thrilled of the progress that our campaign has made, and the fact that we're actually all over Texas. We're not flying anywhere. We are literally in my car, driving from town to town, stopping in small towns, stopping at gas stations and speaking with people, stopping at cafes and restaurants and you name it, and speaking with the people. That's how this election is going to be won. So we will continue to do what we do, and they can have their debate, and I wish them all the best with it. So thank you for that question again, Debbie. I truly appreciate it. Stan, how will you address combat the polarization that is so prevalent and be clear you will represent all Texas? In the current political climate, there is way too much demonization of the other side on both sides of the aisle. Stan? Yes, Stan. Thank you so much for that question, Stan. And I agree with you. There is a lot of demonization. I mean, when we start having a brawl on the floor of the state capitol between our representatives, we have crossed the point. My years working with the Department of Labor, I was as a mediator, is what I always rely on, even in my business, even when I'm working with employees, when I'm working with nonprofits. You have to understand that everyone, A, deserves respect. B, everyone deserves to have a voice. And C, with that voice, someone needs to listen. And our state senators, our state representatives, they were elected to represent their constituents. And thus they deserve to have a voice. And what we need to do is come together, everyone at the same table, and actually speak about the things that are important to Texans, like education and immigration and healthcare and women's rights, and actually start hammering out solutions rather than who can tick off the other side faster than anyone else. And yes, I understand that there are going to be those people who hold their truths very close to their chest, and they're not going to want to let them go. But at the same time, they can be respectful, and so can we. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, I don't really care what party you're from. Respect is of the utmost. And that's what we need in a leader. That's what you need in a governor who knows how to bring people together, who knows how to always be respectful. There's a difference. You can be firm and still be respectful. And that's what we're lacking in government. Right now, you have a governor, literally, who last legislative session, during the special session, actually made a list of individuals who did not agree with him so he could go after them during this election season. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not a leader. You don't make a list of your enemies, period. You reach out to them. You find out why you disagree. You find out what you can do to come to a compromise. And yes, you have to compromise. You're not always going to get everything you want. They're not always going to get, the other side isn't going to get everything they want. But what can we do to better Texas? And when you give a voice to everyone, then all Texans are represented. And yes, I was a mediator. And I'll be honest with you, I was a damn good one. And I enjoyed it because I got to listen to people. They got to speak their piece and they got to share their ideas. And that's how we're going to move forward. So Stan, thank you very much for your question. I truly appreciate that. Beck, hello. Thank you for joining us. How does it feel knowing another candidate has taken your words, plagiarized them, and used them as their own in a public forum? I can chuckle now. I actually watched a few candidates use my words verbatim. And I can, at the moment, I wasn't chuckling. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm human. It did upset me when I first heard the words come out of their mouth on many levels. But after thinking about it, I said, well, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But what I want to make sure is everyone out there knows. Log on to websites. Listen to these candidates. Who has been out there since July of last year? Who has policies and solutions that they've been speaking about since July? And who came in at the last possible moment, has nothing on their website, and only speaks the words that we've been speaking? Do your research. I implore everyone to do your research. And you will see that it is our campaign and our staff, and I mean, all of my staff who have come together, and we have all listened to individuals across Texas, not just myself, my staff. They're constantly listening to Texans. That is a campaign. That is a candidate that's in this for the right reasons. And if another candidate wants to use my words, use them. But as of this moment, I will start calling you out. And so, Beck, thank you for that. But I own what we have done. I own what my campaign staff has done. I own what our volunteers have done, and they have worked their butts off because they believe in our message. And so thank you, Beth. But yes, for about 5 or 10 minutes, I was upset when I first heard them. And it's more than one candidate. But now I just kind of shrug it off and say, we're going to keep doing what we do. And the Texans will figure it out. They already have, actually. So thank you again, Beth. Shirley, gumbo or etouffee? Yes. I will be honest with you. Etouffee if I had to choose, but if it's really, really cold outside, I like a good gumbo. So, pardon me. So, um, yeah, if it's cold, I'll go with gumbo, but if it's just because I have a choice, it's going to be etouffee. So thank you, Shirley. That question caught me off guard, but thank you for asking. Andrew, could you share why you're running and what you hope to accomplish if elected? Also, how would you work with the legislature that may be controlled by the other party to pass your program platform agenda? Andrew, thank you for the two-part question. Let's go to the first question. Why am I running? Actually, it was in about a year and a half before I announced back in July that my husband Sergio and I actually discussed this, and he was on board. We actually weren't going to run until 2022. Then last November happened, the regular session happened, and then the special session happened where in the state of Texas, where we sat around and spoke about trees, which ones to cut down and not cut down. We spoke about the bathroom bill, who was going to use the restroom next to me. And we spoke about an unmandated $1,000 raise to our teachers, which they were going to force the local entities to actually fund. I'd had enough. And as Sergio came home and said one night, we can't wait another 4 years. You need to run now. And so that was the reason, because I felt common sense had left our state government at the level of Governor Abbott. I felt like he was just rubber stamping whatever Dan Patrick came up with. And he would do anything he could to rile the base, to rile his base, excuse me, and create issues where there were no issues. The bathroom bill, that was not it. That was not an issue. That was created in order to make people look over here when they're doing something else on this side that isn't good. So that's why I decided to run, because basically I was angry and we needed common sense brought back to government. What do I hope to accomplish? Well, the items that are all listed on my website, such as our struggling educational system, which, by the way, I just received an article this morning, and I'll quote it once we log off. I'll add it to the comment section. But we got a D+ in our educational system, a D+. That is unacceptable. We need to bring up our educational system. We need to provide our health care. We need to provide, accessibility and affordable health care to all Texans. We need to call Washington and get our Medicaid expansion money sent to us. That is money that Texans have paid into the system, and we need it. We also need to look at our gerrymandering so that we don't have proper representation. We need to look at our voter rights so that we're not squashing someone's ability to actually get out and vote. We need to look at immigration, because we have a population of undocumented individuals who are scared to death, and we have kicked this down the road. The immigration issue, we have kicked it down the road for over 25 years. And you need a governor that's not going to go to Washington, D.C. and just do photo ops and fundraisers, but you have a governor who goes up to D.C. and bangs on doors and bangs on a few heads if he has to, in order to get them to actually do something about the immigration issue that we have. We have in the United States approximately 11 million undocumented individuals, and we need to figure out how we're going to handle that situation. And so, those are some of the issues. Again, I believe that a governor should be able to multitask, and as an owner of multiple businesses, you wear many hats. And so if you'll go to our website, you'll see all of our issues, our policies, and our solutions for them. So, and as far as how would I work with a legislature that may be in control by the other party, I spoke about this just a few minutes ago when we were talking about respect. Everyone deserves a place at the table. And we need to understand that when opposing parties get together and they hammer out a solution. It needs to make, as the gatekeeper, as the governor, I have the power of veto. I also have the power of line item veto. And so you need that gatekeeper that is not going to allow the silly legislation that they keep trying to pass to go through. That this legislation that actually, and we end up in court trying to defend it. And we're wasting money. We waste more money on silly legislation than anything. And we need to work on legislation. And that's where the governor can step in to set the tone and set the agenda so that we're working on items that we need to work on, such as those that I just mentioned. Now, when working with another party, I understand that their solution may be different than what we want or what we believe is the solution to the problem. And that's why I spoke about my mediation skills, which are very good. And, to be able to listen to them and how can we work together. And I believe that what we need is a governor that extends an olive branch to the other side and says, we want to work together, and not a governor who makes a list of people to go after them during an election. It's called being a leader. And you're always going, no matter if your party is in the majority or not, there's always someone on the opposing side, and they still must be listened to, the opposing side. So even if whether I have a legislature that is more Democrat than Republican or more Republican than Democrat, you have to work with all of them all the time. And that's what I bring. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate you, Andrew. And I look forward to actually working with the legislature in order to get things passed, which are true issues that face our state. So thank you. Julie, you and Beto is running for U.S. Senate, just so y'all know, against Ted Cruz, are spending a lot of time on the road. His town halls have served him well. I hope it does the same for you. Actually, they do. And it's interesting because, you have your, in July, we have our first one and we might have 10, 15 people. And then on our second trip through, we'll have, 40, 50 people. And then, they grow every time as word gets out and people start sharing. And they really have worked well. And I believe that is the key this election year, is that individuals want a candidate and they want someone to ultimately represent them that is a people person that knows how to get out there and speak to individuals and understand where they're coming from and understand the issues that they face on a daily basis. And they just don't want someone that's, flying over their city because, they want to get to a bigger city. We stopped in Kermit, Texas. And we stopped there again. Was it yesterday? Twice. We were in Kermit, Texas twice just yesterday. No, we were there once yesterday and then once. And then once last night, yesterday. Oh, that's right. We were there yesterday morning and then we were again later on that afternoon. So, we're going to every town. And I am not of the theory that you skip the small towns. When we start hearing from individuals around the state in the smaller areas that they feel validated that someone that's running for governor is actually visiting them, we've obviously been going about this wrong. So I am thrilled that what we're doing, and we're having a good time. We're having a wonderful time meeting people. And what's really interesting, it's not just Democrats that are showing up. Republicans are showing up as well, and they're listening. They're tired, and they want real issues discussed. And so thank you for that. And Charles, we believe in your message, Jeffrey. Well, thank you, Charles. I appreciate you tuning in. And pardon me. We are doing everything we can to get our message out there. And with all of y'all's help, we can continue to do that. And let's see. I'm sorry. My screen there it is. I'm sorry. My screen went away, so I didn't know what I was needing to read next. Chad, I work as a nurse in a nursing home here in Lubbock. We were just there. No, you're going there. Oh, I'm going there tonight. Sorry. Yeah, we have been so many places. If it wasn't for Lewis, sometimes I don't know where I'd end up. Our current state government wants to cut Medicaid reimbursements. Yes, they do. To nursing homes, thus hurting the care that we can provide for our elderly. What are your thoughts on increasing reimbursement rates to nursing home facilities? I don't believe we need to be cutting nursing home reimbursement rates. That is a detriment to our elderly population. It is a detriment to all of those who work so tirelessly to ensure that individuals who are in nursing homes are being taken care of properly. And I believe they're already underfunded to begin with, and then to continue cutting is a slap in the face to everyone that's involved. And, not just the workers that are there, not just the patients, but also, or the individuals who are in nursing homes, but also to the families of those who have family in nursing homes. So what we can do is call for a Medicaid expansion. That will free up a lot of money so that we can actually properly fund, let me clarify that, nursing homes, so that everyone is receiving the care that they need, the high quality care that they not only need, but that they deserve. So thank you very much for that. And by getting our Medicaid expansion money back, we can actually move funds around and free up some money so that we can actually fund reimbursement rates for nursing homes. So thank you very much. Shelley wants to know, how would you tackle the healthcare crisis? Would you support, like California and other progressive states, are beginning to do a state-ran single-payer health system? Shelley, the simple answer is yes. We do need to look at that. California is currently working on one. I know Massachusetts also has, of all things, they nicknamed it Romney Care after a Republican. Those are working. We also need to look at other countries such as Canada, Sweden, Finland, Norway, who also offer universal health care. And we need to look at that and see how we can tweak it so that it works for Texas. And Texas needs to begin to be the leader when it comes to healthcare. We do have a crisis right now in healthcare. We have more individuals uninsured, whether you look at the number of uninsured or the percentage of uninsured. Either one, we have the highest and in the union of uninsured individuals. And what that's doing is it is causing our rates to go up. It's causing your taxes to go up because individuals who are not receiving the health care they need, when they have the flu, let's say, for instance, they're doing it with over-the-counter medication that they can buy. And if they don't get better, they're ending up in the ER. Well, when they go to the ER and they don't have insurance nor the ability to pay, the hospital is going to raise their rates on other items, and so they can actually recoup their costs. Also, your tax dollars are also being sent to the medical industry in order to pay for those individuals who are uninsured. So, by looking at a universal healthcare system, a single-payer healthcare system in Texas, we can actually alleviate that. It is not something that is going to be done within 24 or 48 hours of me being of the inauguration of my being governor. It's something that is going to take planning. It's going to take getting a lot of experts in the room, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that until we start that conversation, it can't happen. And so we're going to start the conversation, and then we're going to actually do something about it. So Shelley, thank you for that, and I truly appreciate it. Linda, today the religious right is celebrating their anti-abortion platform. Do you believe a dialogue needs to begin about what men can do about preventing abortions instead of just blaming women? Yes, because last time I checked, Linda, the man was, just as responsible as the woman. And we need to start a dialogue as well about how we are not funding women's health care, how we have actually taken away their access to health care by defunding such things as Planned Parenthood. We have taken away the ability for proper education, sex education. We have taken away the ability for many women for access to birth control. And when you take that access away, of course, things are going to go awry. And that's why teen pregnancy in Texas is higher than it's ever been before. And we need to properly fund sex education. We need to properly fund Planned Parenthood so that Planned Parenthood has the foundation of what we need and what women and men need. And we need to fund them so that our maternal mortality rate drops. I mean, it's out of control. And so by properly funding these programs on the front end, then we can take care of the number of abortions that are actually being or taking place, excuse me. And we need to understand that in sex education, because the woman is carrying the baby, the male is just as responsible. So sex education just doesn't need to be for women. It needs to be for men and women. And so that men understand their responsibility. And Planned Parenthood also has education for men so that they completely understand birth control, that they're just as responsible for birth control as the woman. And it's a two-way street. It's male and female need to both be educated when it comes to sex education. So, Linda, thank you for that question. And what we need to do is work more on the front end of that issue, not the back end, and educate both men and women about their responsibility. So thank you for that. Thank you for stepping up. Few take actions when they see problems. They would rather complain or wait for someone else to do something. Thank you for seeing the problems and being willing to do what is needed to amend them. Thank you so much, Genevieve. I'm sorry. I couldn't find your name there. Sorry about that. When someone asked earlier about why I was running, and that was one of the reasons as well. I could sit back and, write my congressman, which I believe everyone should do. I could write my leaders. I could go to more protests. I could march with individuals. And I do believe all of that is vital. It's important that your voices be heard. But at the end of the day, make sure that your voice at the ballot box is heard. And that's what we have to ensure. If our voices are heard at the ballot box, and then that's even a louder voice than a march, because then we can affect change from the inside government so that you're not having to protest. And so I would make sure that when you are out there and you are marching and you are protesting, and when you are writing your letters, understand too, don't forget to vote. That's your biggest voice that's out there. And then ensure that your friends and your family and anyone that whoever's standing behind you at the grocery store, make sure they know they need to vote and make sure their voice is heard. Mary, I thank you for this forum. For those of us that cannot get to your live meetings, that's why we started doing them. So thank you, Mary. This is a great way for those that don't know you to get to know you, and for the rest of us to learn more about you. Just a thanks for the hard work. Well, thank you so much, Mary. This is why we do these. And it's interesting because even though during the live interview, the live show that we have, we'll have anywhere from, up to 80 different people sign in during the show. But once it posts and people, they get home at night, some people aren't free from 12 to 1. And, or they go to lunch with their coworkers, so they're not able to log into the live show. But now we're seeing thousands. They're getting thousands of views every week. And usually by Saturday morning, it's really gone. What's the word I'm looking for, Lewis? It's taken off. There's a viral. Yes, thank you. And that's what's wonderful about it. And so we want to be able to give you access to the candidate, for especially for those of you who can't make it to a town hall or to a rally or to a community forum. So thank you, Mary. And hopefully when I'm in your area, I'm not sure which area you're in, but hopefully you will be able to come out and join us, and make sure you introduce yourself to me. Let's see. Let's see. Alex, thank you for posting the CDC's teen birth rate as of 2016. I will be sure and click on that after the show. I don't want to click on it right now because I'm not real tech savvy, and I'm afraid that if I click on a link that's on here now, it might disconnect me from everything else that I'm looking at on my screen. I will tell you a little story. I had to print out some information and here at the hotel that we were, or at the hotel we were staying at, and their printer was actually broken, and I actually fixed it all by myself. My husband Sergio would be amazed and probably pass out if he heard that I was able to fix a printer. Kevin, who is my project director at the campaign office, is probably sitting there in shock that I actually was able to fix a printer and get it connected, and it actually printed what I wanted to. So yeah, I thought I'd share that little story. Pardon me. Let's see. I want to look at, okay, we had, I'm sorry, y'all. I need to take a little drink. Samantha in Highland, in the Highlands, oh, that's near Houston. She asked, pollution from Harvey is still lingering in the Houston area. Yes. Hurricane Harvey, with the flooding that it did, the Highlands, just so y'all know, had a Superfund site that was an old acid pit. And during Harvey, it flooded and spread the acid across the area. The area is now contaminated. And what can Texas do to speed up the cleanup of this is the question that Samantha is asking. The EPA has actually had budget cuts. And basically, I don't think that they're in a position right now to actually clean up the site. So Texas needs to understand that even though it's a super site, the federal government should be responsible for that. And so again, like I said earlier, rather than a governor going up for photo ops and fundraisers, why isn't the governor advocating for not just this site, but for other sites that were also affected by Hurricane Harvey? They need to be cleaned up. I mean, this is poisoning potential drinking water. This is across, the coast. And so why isn't our governor stepping up and doing that? And while we're on it, I know this is about cleaning up the environmental hazards that are happening in Houston. Why isn't our governor up there talking to someone about CHIP? Why isn't our governor up there speaking to people about passing a clean DACA program? Why isn't our governor doing anything to better the lives for Texans? Where is he? What is he doing? CHIP should have been refunded by now. We're about to run out of money in this month. The state will run out of money in CHIP. The Dreamers. This has been on the table for months. Why isn't he up there? Why isn't he speaking to not just our U.S. senators and our U.S. representatives? Why isn't he speaking to the rest of them? And why isn't he getting a coalition of governors together to go to D.C. and pound some heads to get them to understand that they need to do something? Where's our governor? Where's the leadership? And that's what you need. That's what you deserve as Texans. And as just, you deserve that as people. This is the right thing to do. Quit playing politics with people's lives and just get it done. So, and I know that came off of the Hurricane Harvey, but it just goes to show you we have a governor who's not engaged. You know, and I'm not sure how much more I can take of that. So let's see. Belinda in Waxahachie has asked, my mom's on Medicare. What can I do when they take away her benefits? Right now, they are toying with the fact that they're cutting Social Security and Medicare. I mean, they have to balance the budget somehow. They just gave everyone a big tax break, and they've got to come up with it somehow. And, you know, again, that's a federal issue, not a state issue. But at the same time, like I just said, where's our governor? Where is he in trying to protect our citizens and trying to protect their livelihood? Where is he? And that's a good question, and it's something we all need to ask. Where is the governor? Why isn't he advocating for the benefit of Texans? And that's what you'll get with me. Believe me, the people in DC, they may not like me before it's over. But you know what? Being governor isn't a popularity contest. Being governor is making sure that Texans are represented, and that's what I bring to the table. So thank you, Belinda, and know that I will always advocate that we never cut Social Security, that we never cut Medicare, and that we call and get our Medicaid expansion money. So thank you. We only have a few moments left. So anyone that asks questions, one last question. I apologize. If you win the governor nomination, will you support all the candidates in the primary or just the ones that look like you? Well, I wouldn't wish anyone out there to look like me, but I know what you meant. So yes, actually our entire plan, because we actually have a plan to victory, not just for the primary, but for the general election. And you need to make sure the other candidates out there do as well. What our plan is that once the primary season is over, when we have our rallies, when we have our meet and greets and community forums, everyone who is running in that area, Justice of the Peace, no matter what they're running for, city council, mayor, whoever, that they actually join us at our rallies and give them time to speak and let them share their vision, whatever office that they're running for, so that we're all working in tandem so that we can all get the community, the Texans, to understand what our message is as a unified unit. And we can't do it all separately. That just isn't going to work. We have to be there for each other. And so even though I may be paying for the rally, or I may be paying for the meet and greet or the room or whatever it may be that we're having the rally in, I'm inviting everyone that's in the primary. And that's how we have a unified message, and that's how we work together. And so, yes, and I look forward to that. And yes, I will be looking at everyone that is on the ballot, and we will make sure that they're all able and know that they're invited and to be a part of a greater message for all Texans, and not just statewide offices, but even the local. So thank you for that question. All righty. I need to wrap up because we actually have 1 minute and 10 seconds. So I want everyone to know, if you will go to, I have to give a shout out to what's happening in Texas. We, on my birthday, only because it's on my birthday, we are actually having a forum in Austin. So please, if you're able to make it, go to What's Happening in Texas on Facebook, and you'll find all the information you need there. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was reading what they give me cues over here. So, and I apologize, on the other side of my screen, and I kind of got lost there. Sorry about that. So But go to What's Happening in Texas and find out more information. It's January 27th. I'll be turning 50 years old, and I'm not sure they're going to bring cake, but I think I'm going to bring cake because I love cake and I want cake. So I will let you know that between now and the next Ask Jeffrey Live next Friday from 12 to 1 Central Standard Time, we will be going to Lubbock, Van Zant, Dallas County, Tarrant County, Fort Bend, Smith County, Gonzales County, and there are a couple other counties as well. What's that? Corral County. Okay. Boss County. Okay. So obviously we are still traveling, and we're not slowing down. We have a little over 40 days until the March 6th primary. So we look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to, and if you have questions, and we didn't get to today, and you've already posted them, I do apologize. Please know that we'll answer them next week. Also, you can email, AskJeffrey at jeffreyfortexas.com. And we will also be able to, if you want to email your question, you can email your question. And we'll get to those next week. So again, thank you so much. It has been a joy. We are going to pack up now, and because we are headed to Lubbock. We have to be in Lubbock this evening. And I look forward to seeing everyone there. Thank you for tuning in. Again, don't forget, and I know I'm over, but don't forget that on Sunday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, we're doing a special Ask Jeffrey Live, and we're doing it on women's rights. And I look forward to discussing those issues and those solutions with you at that time. Between now and then, y'all have a safe weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be careful on the road. It was 15 degrees earlier this week, and from what Lewis just told me, we're going to be in the 70s. And so it's no wonder everyone's sinuses are killing them. So again, I apologize about my voice. I promise it will be better, hopefully by Sunday. But y'all take care, and I look forward to getting out there in all corners of Texas and meeting all of you. And let's all go all the way to a victory on November 6th. And let's put someone in the governorship that deserves your attention and deserves someone that's going to work for you there and not just his cronies. So thank y'all very much, and I'll see y'all next week.